beautiful, and welcome back to another episode of Beautiful I Am Colored. My name is Evelyn, and I am the author and creator of the podcast titled Beautiful I Am Colored. As always, I'm so happy and grateful, honored, in fact, that you have returned to hear another week of this podcast when I share, or where I share, rather, some of the insights and perspectives that I have gained from my week. Um, or reflection sometimes, as you'll see in today's episode. So yeah, I'm actually got my little hat on today, and because I'm going for a walk. Actually, I'm doing some stretches with my daughter and going for a walk later today. I typically record during the week so that I have enough time to edit, but this week I am actually doing recording and doing the edits on Sunday morning in order to be released by 12 noon on Sunday, which is the time slot I elected for this podcast. Regardless, you know that each week I do like to start with a segment I call shout outs and thank yous. And this is just a moment where I just show gratitude for a person, place, thing, or idea that has blessed me in my week. And honestly, like I have a lot, but I try to narrow down my list this week for the shout outs and thank yous. But first up, I want to thank gracious, beautiful host Kendra. I was able to do a day trip to visit her in Chicago. A very quick turnaround, but nonetheless, it was very fruitful. Great conversation. She blessed me with a gift that I do not take lightly. So thank you so much for making me feel welcome, opening up your home to me. Chicago, I will absolutely be back. Had a phenomenal time. Bronzeville Winery. Oh, amazing. Excellent food. Um, Great service. Great vibes overall. My first time there, of course. Enjoyed it. I also want to give a special shout out to Brittany at Massage Evolve as well. Had an amazing hour and a half massage. Still a little sore, but it was an amazing massage nonetheless. And so, if you are in the Chicago area or visited, definitely I had a good experience. And it was thanks to my friend Kendra for doing that. So, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Okay, today's video is going to be shorter because I have a special message for a special targeted audience. So I will warn you in advance, the listener or the watcher, that this video may not be for all of you. But in just reflecting this week as I return to the workforce, an office setting, office environment, it made me just reflect on like how I gotten to this point in terms of my career, and I was specifically reflecting on my time as a stay-at-home mom and thinking through, you know, some of the some of the mindsets that had to shift for me in order to really appreciate that time. So today's topic is a special message to stay-at-home moms. Now, I do realize that we live in today's society where it's not just moms who are staying at home with children, especially because these days we are relying heavily upon the village concept in terms of who helps us to upbring our kids. So this is not to dismiss any other person or group. I am fully aware that men stay at home as well. But as you know, on this podcast, I share things that I have had personal experience from. So I'm only sharing with you from my perspective and my experience. That doesn't mean that some of the principles can't apply to, other groups, other people, but I do tend to stick with my personal experience. And so that's why it's titled Special Message to Stay at Home Moms. Okay, without further ado, let me get into this topic. So, in getting to today's topic, just a special message that I wanted to share with stay at home moms. I was really thinking back during my time as a stay at home mom, and I would say it was probably about maybe 10 years or so that I was a stay at home mom. I did try to work here and there, but the cost of daycare outside of the home, of course, was just far too expensive for it even to make sense for me to work outside of the home. which was part of the reason why I stayed at home. But the other part is too because I had models, and my grandmothers who I admired dearly, um, who for the most part they worked here and there, little different jobs, but for the most part, they were available to the family. And so my mindset was, this is kind of, what you do. Now, I will say that at the time, it was a challenge. You all who have been listening to me for several weeks slash months now know that, Marlon and I were teen parents. And also, we had a big family fairly quickly. By that, I mean, we had four kids before I was 24, I believe, if I'm doing my math right. And so, as you can imagine, a lot of opinions, whether they were stated explicitly or where they were, how can I say, demonstrated non verbally, with a twerk of the mouth, or, like that kind of thing is what I mean. Or, or just not really knowing what to do with that information, especially because in the 90s, particularly, that is when we see an additional like push and urge for women to be more career minded. And I know it started before the 90s, but I'm saying we see the next level or the next stage of, the independence, and, all of the songs, even, that projected, that you go out and get your money kind of thing, is much more desirable, if you will. At least that what was being projected at the time, than the traditional role of motherhood. And to be frank, that had me feeling some kind of way because in my 20s, while my other friends or peer groups were advancing in careers or um, dating or graduating from college with multiple degrees, I was just at home. And I think that because the external media, it caused me to doubt the incredible role and opportunity that you have when you are a stay at home mom to be that first teacher of your children, and how we have gotten away from that as a society. And so it's of no surprise to you that I do hold more traditional values than I would say probably some of my peers. That's not to say that I'm not career minded, because clearly I am, right? And I have multiple degrees at this point. But I'm saying in those beginning stages, it was of some dissonance in terms of what I was seeing, hearing, and then what I was experiencing, knowing deeply that I was doing the right thing for my family, but at the same time having that tension of, I really want to be doing, something outside the home too. And again, that's not to say that there's anything wrong with that at all. I'm just saying that, in my experience during that time, it was surprising that the majority of the, how can I say this, negative feedback, and I do not think it was intentional for most people, came from other women, who were advancing in their careers. And when I say that negative feedback, I say, oh, you're married. Oh, wow, you're married. Oh, you've already been married 5 years. Wow, that's so young. Or, sharing how many kids we have, the children at the time, of course, we have four. And saying, oh my God, whole basketball team. Wow. Saying things like that, or saying things like, ooh, that could never be me. You got four of them too? Oh my God. As if children are some type of shackle, that is preventing you from living. And I didn't have the words back then because I was in my 20s and arguably still growing up too. With We were literally growing up together as a family because we made a decision to devote our lives to nurturing our family. But I will say that the tension was there, and it was very hurtful and offensive to hear some of the commentary associated, with where I was at my station in life during that time. But here's what I want to say to you, stay at home moms who may be feeling and experiencing that same thing or similar thing. When you look at other women who are, whether it's on social media, whether you're listening to a podcast, and they have all these things going for them, so to speak, supposedly, and you are minimizing the incredible value that you are bringing to yourself as well as to your family. I want to encourage you that you are doing an amazing job. And to be frank with you, to be clear, stay at home moms are so magnificent because you start to think about all the things that a stay at home mom does. Let me run down the list of the things that I can just run off the top of my head. Um, Laundry for everybody in the house, um, cooking dinner, meal plans for the whole entire family, ordering groceries, picking up groceries, or literally going to the grocery store with all of your children. Oh, washing your spouse's clothes sometimes and potentially having supporting them, listening to your spouse when they come home from work and they want to tell you about their day, but not necessarily giving you the same attention when you're trying to talk to them about you wish you had some adult time and adult conversation and not giving that same weight. Um, Going to school and being the PTO mom and bringing snacks to class. When the kids get older, being the mom taxi cab and where you're going to and from school and making arrangements. Or how about this one? When you are the basketball mom or the soccer mom or the coach, listen, how about the doctor? When you're the only person in the family who knows everybody's social security numbers by heart because you're the person who takes care of that. Oh, and you are also the manager of the bank accounts. You open the bank accounts. You make sure that the money is where it needs to be. You move it over when you need to move it over. You make sure that the checks are ordered before they run out. You make sure that the DMV, you see how I'm going? You see how long I'm going? Because I can riff that off to you because that was my experience. And for a long, 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 long time, I resented it because I was comparing where I was in life at that time to where my peers were. And all I'm saying to you, moms who stay at home, is you are so incredibly valuable. I will tell you one of the pivotal things, and if I can find the article, I'll link it in today's video. There was an article, and I think it was on MSN News, and this was back like clearly early internet years because I'm saying MSN News, but anyways, you get what I'm saying. And this article talked about if stay-at-home moms actually had a salary attached to all that they do, and it was a six-figure salary. Also, what I do know is in the workforce, if you are privileged to hire someone who has been a stay at home mom, you're going to get way more bang for your buck in working with them than you will, hands down. I would really like bet money on it than any other potential candidate that you would have because moms who have stayed at home have had to master that multitasking in a way that few other human beings can. Now, again, let me just put this disclaimer out just in case you skipped the disclaimer in the beginning. I said stay at home moms because I speak from my experience only. That is not to take away from any man who stays at home, any grandmother, or any other individual who takes care of children. I just happen to speak from my personal experience, and that's what my platform is about. And so to stay on that track, um, I I narrow what I speak on because I have the evidence, because it is my true life experience. And so, to all the stay at home moms out there, I just want to say shout out to you. You are valuable. Do not discredit the day of small beginnings. You do not know who you are becoming or who you will be in the future. You could be the next US Senator, okay? You could be the next, I don't know, CEO of your own company that has a multi-million-dollar deal because of all the things that you're learning as a stay-at-home mom. Do not discredit what you're bringing to this world, nor, of course, and first and foremost, to your family and to the support that you are giving them. I do pray, however, that you do take time to operate with self care, whatever your budget is, and whatever that looks like for you. Spend time for you, making sure that you are who you need to be so that, how can I say this? So that you can do the job that you're called to do right now, which is a high one. I would argue is one of the most important jobs on the face of the planet. So that you can do the job that you're called to do at this time. And I think that is all I have within me to give for this week. As I told you, it would be a quick one. I'm going to get ready to go do my workout. It's a sunny day, but chilly day here in Denver, so I'm going to get a brisk walk in and try to sweat here. As always, my hope is that you have been blessed by the things that I say, because my overall goal is that you end up leaving this message after hearing it or seeing it um, with a little bit more hope, a little bit more healing, because honestly, that's what the world needs right now. And remember, as always, the future you is waiting on you. So until next time, beautiful, have a great week, everyone. Have a great work week to all my career people, including me now. And I look forward to coming back again next week.